Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Stories Between the Lines podcast. This is your host, Nandini. Today has been one of the most exciting days of my life, and you're about to find out why real soon. Can music be a form of storytelling? Of course, music touches us when words alone can't. It stimulates the emotions of the listeners and the performer. Now, I'm not a musician or schooled in any form of music. My interest, let alone talent in music, is like a background score of a movie. I enjoyed music as a passive listener in the sense that I never had a deep understanding of the tunes or the melody or even paid attention to the lyrics. But that changed a few years ago when I actually started to pay attention to the lyrics, the tunes, and the emotions in a song. We all have our favorite musicians, connect with them instantly, and end up idealizing them for not just their music but also embracing their entire persona. For me, there is one phenomenal singer who led me to appreciate the nuances of Carnatic music. Carnatic music is a form of Indian classical music rooted in South India. The northern Indian counterpart is the Hindustani classical music. The songs are very devotional, and the voice itself acts as a musical instrument. It takes years of practice under the tutelage of a revered teacher, a guru, to learn this very ancient form of music. The Carnatic music compositions have very intricate notes called ragas. The melody. The raga evokes specific feelings in a listener. There are so many ragas in Indian classical music, and each has its own unique melodic personality. Even to appreciate this form of music requires comprehension, a connection to the emotions. There is a famous quote by a prolific Dutch writer which goes, "Words fail when music speaks." For a person unschooled in classical music such as me, this quote pretty much sums up my thoughts. I had an instant connection to this soulful singer who helped me connect to the divinity and the emotions through her music, and I became an ardent fan. Her music is my daily dose of Zen. I recently had a total fangirl moment at a front row seat of her concert. She is the pitch perfect diva of Carnatic music, Sangitha Kalanidhi Padmabushan Sudha Raghunathan ji. The fans on the east coast of the United States have been blessed with her spring concert series this year and treated to hours of musical bliss. The name Sudha in most Indian languages, including Sanskrit, means nectar and is another name for goddess Lakshmi herself. Without any exaggeration, all her fans would agree that these two definitions are perfectly suited to describe this very soulful singer. Sudha Raghunathan's story is about sustained success, a musical career built on very solid foundations. Her foray into the world of music began with her mother at a very young age, who sowed the seeds of music in her, nurtured it, and then handed her over to study under the tutelage of Dr. M.L. Vasantakumari, known as India's was one of India's musical geniuses and a Diane of Carnatic music. Sudha ji has been singing for several decades now, 32 years and counting. She has received innumerable awards and recognitions and is the recipient of India's third and fourth highest civilian awards, the Padmabushan and Padma Shri, as well as the prestigious Music Academy's Sangitha Kalanidhi Award. The fangirl in me reached one of the highest heights of gratitude when Sudhaji graciously accepted my humble invitation to be a guest on this episode of Stories Between the Lines podcast. Sounds music to the ears, right? That's right, I'm still pinching myself. Sudhaji's fame in the world of Carnatic music is globally well known. Her bubbly personality is so full of grace and charm and is layered with so many talents. You will never know what talent she's going to surprise you with. Today, I have the utmost honor of bringing this exclusive conversation with the musical diva herself. I'm sure you'll enjoy listening to this as much as I enjoy putting it together. Hi Sudhaji, Namaskaram. I'm so happy and excited to welcome you to Stories Between the Lines podcast.
Namaskaram.
It is such an honor to have you as a guest on this podcast. I've been an ardent fan of you for years as a person and of your music, of course.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Firstly, how are you doing, ma'am? Midst of a whirlwind of concerts these past few weeks. And are you enjoying these concerts? It's hectic, I know, but the in-person interactions, I think, with your fans after seems like an endless drought of more than 2 years.
Yeah, I am actually on top of the world, I should say, because the spring tour has really brought this in-person, uh, contact with people for concerts, which is really a blessing.
Yeah.
And as I've always emphasized or reiterated, the fact that we do virtual stuff is over the last 2 years, what we've been doing is definitely a makeshift arrangement. It has helped to help us be in touch with people, but there's nothing that can equal a live audience and a live concert, because you see the emotions with your eyes, you hear the applause, so too the audience sees the artist with the body language, and there are the overtones, the undertones, the talk that we include in between spontaneously. There's so much happening. I mean, definitely I feel both me and the audience, we've missed each other, and this is really a blessing in disguise.
The energy is different.
Yes, but of course there is this bit of uncertainty and there's a little bit of anxiety, but we actually put it across to the audience well ahead of time that, after the concert, no selfies, no autographs, no, not really coming into close contact with the artist. So, and they have been absolutely obedient and understanding. That's what is very important. And I think it's been a magical 25 days thus far.
Absolutely. I think you have this natural ability to connect with people, across various genres. I think many articles have been written about you that you're easily relatable artist. And I think I first started being your fan when I first heard the musical fusion of Taye Yashoda in the movie The Morning
Yes.
Raga, and the amazing Shabana Azmi, of course, she's an amazing actress, perfectly lip syncs your song. And I've never heard such an alluring rendition of this famous song. I think this was way back in 2004, but most recently, the super cool reel with another brilliant young artist, Abby V, went viral. And just the creativity creativity of this reel. So many of thousands of your fans were really taken to your very creative way of demonstrating classical music to a wider audience. I mean, people like
Yes.
me who are not tutored in
Yes.
classical music, we immediately connected with that particular video. I mean, just ordering groceries. Most of us did that during the pandemic. Instacart was so popular. But when
Yes.
I first time got to hear about how Carnatic musicians order groceries, it was like a completely different take on it. So do you enjoy doing such creative projects and using social media to popularize Carnatic music and make it, I think, more accessible?
Definitely. And we have to keep moving along with what the world wants and how the world's, the matrix of expressing ourselves through music. Everything changes as decades pass by. There's a whole new social media handle growth now. We have Insta, we have TikTok, we have Facebook, so much happening. So I would always be an advocatory of moving along with what is required. I don't think we need to be conservative or traditional or keep our minds closed to these developments. So, I mean, nothing is really planned. Actually, the reel with Abby was something which was very spontaneous. He was in India and he was in Chennai, and he said, "I'm visiting you," because we got to know each other over my Expressions Espresso chat conversation. So he said, "Can I come and see you?" I said, "Yeah, of course." Then he said, the previous night he called and said, "Why don't we do this little reel?" So I said, "Well, it sounds interesting, but you come over and let's see how we function." And then in a few minutes, I think hardly 10 minutes, we were done. And he said, It's going to come out well." I didn't even listen to it, go back to it. He came back to Canada and then he sent me the rough draft of that. And I thought it was very, like charming and a different take on Carnatic music and the ragas. Like you said, Morning Raga had its own charm. Way back when I did Morning Raga, I was a little skeptical, of how the connoisseurs of Carnatic music and the hardcore, traditionalists would welcome it or shun it, or would they criticize it. But even if they did, they fell off because they were more to embrace this newness.
Yeah.
They liked it. And I think it was one way in which I was able to connect to the younger generation. A lot of new listeners came in after Morning Raga, and in most of my concerts, they kept clamoring for Tayi Yashoda or Mahaganapatim or Mate. That was the reason why we did the tour of Morning Raga with Amit Heri and Keith Peters and the group. It was very interesting how even the Carnatic audience came to those programs, attended those programs, and they thoroughly enjoyed, because it's, each genre of music has to be appreciated. You have to have the openness in you. Only then we can be a complete listener. Otherwise, you're stuck with one mode, one genre. Why? There's a charm in every genre. Bollywood, you listen, there's so much beauty. In the South Indian movies, if you listen to the recent songs, there is something, at least one song that catches your interest. So to Hindustani music, Carnatic music. I listen to everything: rock, Beyonce, just everything.
Wow.
Country music. So the openness helps me develop these new ideas, and there's really nothing planned or nothing fake. It just happens genuinely.
Yeah. And I think even if like somebody like even if I don't recognize the ragams and the talams that go with it, but I think we can feel the emotions. I think I've heard you talk about a healing power of chanting and music. And for you, music is like a prayer. And even in the concert, you make an attempt to do at least one song that you involve the audience with it. I mean, it doesn't have to be a particular religion. I think everybody across the globe can connect to the emotions.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and also during the pandemic, we fans got to see layers of your personality beyond being an acclaimed musician. Especially, I'm talking about expressions, expresso. It was like truly sipping a aromatic cup of coffee. I think, from
Mhm.
the best part of it was how you welcomed your guest with a garland of ragas, as you call it.
Yeah.
And I think you have a very bubbly personality. I've read that even in college days, you were very active across activities. So, how did the idea of expressions expresso come to you? I mean, you just.
I was just thinking, I mean, it was, I think, the month of April or May of 21, or was it 20? Yeah,
Mhm,
I think it was 20. So I was just thinking I should do something to take this dismal atmosphere away from people. People were so depressed with the loss of someone, or because they were sick and the sickness continued for over a period of time. And those especially who used to attend concerts, they felt lost not being able to attend live concerts. So I said, why don't and I have been, as you said, I was a debater, and I was an orator as well in college. So I said, why don't I put that dimension of me to use?
mhm,
So initially, I just woke up one morning. I said, expressions, espresso, and kind of spoke about it to my daughter, and she said, it sounds like a very funny combination of expression and coffee. So I said,
mhm,
it's exactly that. I'm going to be talking to people over a cup of
mhm.
of tea or coffee. So that's why I coined that phrase, though it might not be completely meaningful.
Yeah.
Uh, and I initially had at least, okay, I'd do one season of it and see how it registers among the amongst the audience. So it worked very well because whoever I contacted, I wouldn't even pick up the phone to talk to them sometimes. I would just send a message and they would say, yes, I'm on board.
Wow.
And then all we needed to do was to research about this person and get the appropriate questions
Mhm.
so that the interest would sustain over the hour.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when it was live, we had audience interaction as well. We asked the guest about the questions that were posed by the audience.
Mhm.
And then slowly I thought, I should have the connectivity of music in every action that I do, every activity that I do. Even when I acted in ads, I sang my own ad.
Mhm. Yeah. I
So
remember
I
that.
felt
Yeah.
that music factor element had to be in the show.
Yeah.
And it just struck me that the best I could do was to get to know which ragas were liked by the celebrities or the guests, and then presented to them like a bouquet or a garland.
Yeah.
And it just worked magically. People
That
were
was the
really
best part
thrilled.
of it.
Yeah.
I used to wait for it. Sometimes you would do it at the beginning. I was like, did I miss it? Or you would do it at the middle. And I used to just wait. What is she going to sing today?
Yeah, putting it together was a little bit of a challenge because you don't have any instruments
Yeah.
backing you, and then you just have to come up with the uh,
Mhm.
magic there and then and there. And of course, some of them refused to, not refused to, I would say they didn't find it important to put across the names of songs or ragas.
Yeah.
So I would just have to be, kind of presume that this person, this persona, this raga would go well with them. And then I would sing that.
Wow.
So it just
That's
worked out.
That's another level altogether. I think beyond your conversations, I think people tuned in to see what you're going to be wearing that day. I think you, especially, ma'am, you changed how musicians dress for concert. I mean, a trendsetter, I think. So much has been talked about how impeccably dressed you are in every concert and every picture you look, especially with Kanjivaram pattu sarees and
Yeah.
matching accessories. Everybody would be like, what is Sudha ma'am going to wear today? Were you always interested in dressing well and especially, maintaining yourself, your youthful self, despite your busy schedule? We all struggle with that.
Yeah, I always used to be neat in however I presented myself in whatever. I mean, be it half sari or salwar or sari, whatever. But this sense of impeccable dressing, I think I inherited it from my guru. M.L. Vasant Kumari Amma.
Of course.
However she was during the day, however messed up she was, and there were arguments, or if she was very busy, right on the dot at 6:30, if she had to leave the house, she would be so well dressed, majestic, and full of life. And she would always say, the reason why she presented herself in that manner was because it was not like dance, where you had movement of the body and you had a story to tell people and they would understand. Here you were in a static situation. You were sitting and people had to watch you just like that for 2 to 3 hours. So the best you could do was to present yourself well. So I started following that maxim, and of course, Kanjivaram was my favorite bet to present myself in, because it had those vibrant colors and it would stay in place. Like you don't have to worry about is it okay here, on the left, on the right, nothing. Once you sit on stage, you forget about it. So it helped. And initially, a lot of people, of course, were, for everything that you do, you have to have critics. And only then it strengthens you. So I had some criticism. Why is she concentrating so much on dress and wearing jhumkas and so much jewelry? And isn't she overdoing it and all that? And now I see a whole crop, a whole generation, doing that. So in a way, yes, I was a trendsetter. And it helped. But I didn't do it for the sake of being recognized or being noticed or being acknowledged of doing all these things. I liked it. Yeah. And I always feel that the way we present ourselves matters so much to someone who watches you or interacts with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first impression of one gets is the physical appearance. And,
exactly.
That's when the first impression comes. I tell that to my kids all the time.
Yeah.
I think listening to music and watching cooking videos is what got us through the dark days of pandemic, right? All of us, listen to music or we were watching some cooking video or the other. I think your fans especially got to virtually taste your delicacies being dished out from your YouTube cooking channel, Sudha's Kitchen, I think.
Yes.
From Saptaswara cutlets to Sudha's potatoes, the patience with which you demoed each recipe with a perfect raga to go with each of those recipes. I think food is music to the body and music is food to the heart. I read this quote somewhere. Do you agree with this quote?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, music is not only food to the heart, but it's a healing. It has a healing effect. It's a balm that, soothes disturbed emotions. Actually, we do have ragas which relate to certain emotions and certain ailments in the body. If you keep listening to those ragas, they do help you to get over, or shall we say, combat with that phase. Like if you're in depression, you listen to certain ragas and you're able to hold yourself together. So this was also started impulsively. It was just a spontaneous decision to do something. And again, the Music Connect had to be there. Yeah. And so the Saptaswara cutlet had the Shobilu Saptaswara. And anything that had the word Saptaswara or the Sarigama Padani. So it helped to connect again with even those who missed out on Expressions Espresso, because initially they thought that it was all in English and they kept on clamoring for, speak in Tamil, Tamil Pesco, Tamil Pesco. But then I had to kind of reaffirm that this was for an audience beyond just the Tamil audience. It was across the world. And there were many who would key in, log in, those who didn't understand Tamil. So I had to reach out to them as well. So after a while, we forgot about that. And even those who wanted it in Tamil forgot about it. Yeah. Of course, those guests who wanted it in Tamil, I moved to Tamil. There was no questioning about that. So here too, music helped in kind of, see, actually, even when you cook at home, on a daily basis, you do hum a raga or two. If it's not a raga, music. It's a swara. If it's not either of these, it's a film tune. It's maybe Isenyani Ilayaraja's tune. So you just, under your breath, without your knowledge that you're singing, many people do that. So I thought, okay, we'll make it loud.
I mean, it was very popular because in the age of, shorter and shorter reels and TikTok videos where the attention span
Yeah.
is just like a couple of, not even a minute. We want minute
Minute,
videos,
yes.
minute cooking,
Yes.
So this people, at least me, and I know so many of my friends took the time to watch every single video because of the music element, as you said. I think
Yes.
that was a
Yes.
perfect combination.
But here too, there was a challenge. I had to find the raga which
Mhm.
matched it, like
Yeah.
pakoda, and then I had to find begada
Yeah.
to sing. So,
I mean, that's a lot of creativity, and the amount of
yeah.
time you put into each video was
Yeah. So
amazing.
mundri, I had to initially cashew pakoda. I never got. I wanted two ragas, and I got the pegada instantly, but I
Yeah.
didn't get the other one. So I kept on mumbling, cashew, cashew, cashew,
Yeah.
mundri, mundri. Then I got mandari.
I mean, in general, do you enjoy cooking? I'm sure you're a
Oh yes,
fantastic cook.
I'm a super cook. Yes,
Oh,
I shouldn't be
wow.
saying it myself, but
No,
sometimes
no.
we have to say it because not everybody is going to be able to taste your
Yeah.
cooking. So. Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm sure whoever had been lucky to enjoy your food must have been very gifted.
There is a sense of proportion in whatever I
Yeah.
do, be it dressing or be it singing or be it planning a tour. So too, I imbibe that, bring it to cooking.
Yeah.
I'm very firm with my proportions. Like there's not too much pullipa, or there's not too much tamarind, or uh, salt, and then I always look at the newness that one can individually add to a dish. Okay,
Yeah.
a dish is made this way, but how can Sudha make this dish a little different? So I try and experiment a few things, and it works out well.
Is that your secret to you being so fit?
Secret to being fit cannot be secret. It is what it is. You know that fitness doesn't come easily. It has to
Yeah.
be sweated out.
I mean, especially with all the things you're doing, being so fit and fresh and dressing up, all that.
Yes, it
It
is a challenge in its way, in its own way.
yeah,
Because we travel, and especially if you're traveling time zones and international travel.
yeah,
I mean, beyond the fact that you try and look fresh, there is a fatigue that shows up on the face or the physique.
yeah,
So you have to, beat all that and yet look as if you have dressed up just for that audience on that particular occasion.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we try our best.
yeah. Everyone knows you won innumerable awards and recognition, so many feathers in your colorful cap. And you also have one very unique recognition. I think the University of Louisville of Kentucky here in the United States of America declared May 19th as Sudha Raghunathan Day in recognition of your service to the field of music. It's, I
Yeah.
think, like a proclamation, I would think. How
Yes, yes,
special is this recognition?
it is extremely special. I mean, even as you say it, I can feel myself smile about it because it was such a surprise. And I take this moment to thank the mayor at that time to have, offered to do that, because not everyone understands the intensity of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he went through the CV and looked at the long period of time I've been working as a propagator of arts,
Mm-hmm.
and said that yes, this person deserves this. And the standing ovation that we got on that particular moment, momentous occasion, is still ringing in my ears. It was a
Absolutely.
very, very happy moment, a very different recognition.
Yeah.
Yes, Padma Shri, Padmabushan, yes, definitely, they're all very close to my heart. But this one stood out because it was very different,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't happen to everyone.
And it's not in India, it's in a, it's in a
Yeah,
foreign land, and for them to
that's right.
appreciate it. When I first read about this, I was like, wow, it's such an honor to recognize you on a foreign land. So that shows that you've reached so many people with your music. I read somewhere that you wanted to become a doctor, but you would faint at the sight of blood.
Yeah.
Doctor, musician, did you feel you missed out on being a doctor?
I still do feel sometimes, but then when I speak to my doctors, they say you're better off doing what you're doing because you also are a doctor in your own way.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
heal a lot of pain, hurt, uh, you heal the soul. You touch the soul with your layers of ragas, and in a different way, you are a doctor. So don't ever regret that you didn't become a doctor, because
Yeah.
if you had, then you would be doing only something within the periphery of music,
Yeah.
of
Oh,
medicine,
yeah.
and wouldn't have had the time to touch music.
Yeah. And
So I'm
which
happy.
you're
I mean,
healing
and
so
we do
many
move on.
people.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
so many people, require this today, especially in a world where so much of stress, anxiety, uncertainty, tension prevails.
Yeah.
I think people look to music as a healer.
It is. I mean, definitely. As I said, I am not schooled in Carnatic music, but listening to your music is
Mm.
very healing. And I love listening to the bhajans. Even if I'm having a terrible day, if I take like
Mhm,
5 minutes to listen to a bhajan or a kirtane from your
mhm,
album, it's just instantly it brings you peace.
mhm. Thank you. Thank you.
32 years and counting, you're the queen of Carnatic music world. You think you've all the highs and lows, you've seen it all, right? So what
Very much.
advice do
Yes.
you give to young and upcoming artists in a world of TikTok videos and super fast means of getting famous?
Well, there's only one very particular thing to concentrate on, is the fact that you need to decide what you want to do. So there are many people who are at crossroads. Do I sing only Carnatic music? Do I do film music? Do I do devotional music? Am I going to do a bit of everything? So the ID has to be established first in your mind, then in the person. So, and then after that comes the focus, because uh, fame, glory, opportunities, they don't come easily these days. You have to really strive, work for them,
Mhm.
sweat it out. So you shouldn't get dejected. This dejection, rejection happens so easily also. Like if you don't get opportunities for 6 months, you get so dejected. You say, oh, am I doing the right thing? Maybe not. Maybe I should move to something else. Maybe I should pursue academics. So the mind is a devil, actually. Sometimes,
Yeah.
it can cause a lot of confusion in your process of thinking. So you have to be firm and then be focused and work in that direction. And hard work and perseverance can definitely take you to places.
That's a
So that
fantastic
is the
piece
only
of
thing. And
advice.
yeah, attention deficit is also there, because you put up something on TikTok for less than 1 minute and you get great fame, numbers matter so much. So all that is important too. But then I think at the end of the day, you have to think of what will happen to you. What would you like to achieve over? I always do a 5 year plan.
Mhm.
In 5 years, what should I complete? What should I have uh, achieved? Should I have done this? Should I have done this? And I make out a small plan for myself. And every year I go back to that and see, oh, have I progressed? And if not, then the second year I push myself a little more towards my targets. So at the end of 5 years, at least 80% of what is written on paper is achieved. And then I take that, the remnant of the 20% onto the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, mine is kind of a different way of working.
You're a
I'm
super
not saying that
achiever.
everybody, no, I'm not saying that everyone should work this
Yeah.
way, but I'm
You
saying
got to
it's
have a
it's a way of
plan.
motivating yourself.
Hmm.
Like there's not going to be someone around always to motivate you.
Yeah.
There are your parents, there is your husband, there are children, there are friends, but at the end of the day, I think you matter more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So you have to plan things for yourself. No one can be sitting there and telling you do this on a daily basis. So that's how I plan. I mean, I put on a 5 year plan. And the reason why I put on a 5 year plan is because we always have this in India, we have a 5 year plan.
Yeah.
The government has the
Hmm.
policies for 5 years. Or, when you're a president of some associations for 3 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
So somewhere that five stuck to my mind. And I started doing it. And I think it has helped in a large way.
That's a valuable piece of advice for anyone, especially youngsters these days, to
Yes,
follow through. Yeah.
yes.
Sudhaji, as we come to the end of our conversation, I selfishly cannot let you go without a request, a humble petition for a song. If you don't mind, can you please sing one of my favorite songs that you have so beautifully sung, Chinnanjira Kannamma, a poem by the famous Mahakavi Subramanya Bharatya. I love that
Yeah.
song of yours.
Let me try, because when you talk too much, the voice, the usage of the voice is different when you talk.
If you can.
It's different when you sing. So let me try. Kannamma sinanjiru kiliye, Kannamma selva kalanjiyame, sinanjiru kiliye, Kannamma selva kalanjiyame, என்னை களி தீர்த்தே உலகில், என்னை களி தீர்த்தே உலகில் ஏற்றம் புரிய வந்தாய், சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே கண்ணம்மா, சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே.
Oh my God, I am having goosebumps here listening to you sing on the show. I want to say the same words you used at the concert. நெஞ்சத்தை தொடக்கூடிய ஒரு வாய்ப்புக்கு மிக்க நன்றி. I'm so grateful.
ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம், ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம்.
Thank you very much.
நீங்க எழுதின விதம் வந்து என்ன தொட்டது. நீங்க the way you expressed yourself in your mail. அதனால நான் 2 தடவை யோசிக்கவே இல்லை, கண்டிப்பா செய்யலாம், ஆனா என்னைக்குன்றது மட்டும் கொஞ்சம் யோசிச்சு சொல்றேன் அப்படின்னு தான் சொன்னேன்.
Thank you so much. I took
thank you for being what you are and enjoying my music and stuff. Hope
Stay
to see
safe.
you at some concert. Yes.
I will be coming again for your Sunday concert with Indira Noe. Yes. And I wish you a safe stay for the rest of your trip here in the US and return safely back home. And I want to listen to your divine voice for many, 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 many more years to come.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The last part of this conversation was a mix of English and Tamil. I think no translation will do justice to certain words expressed in a specific languages, right? Without losing or being lost in translation, here's what I told Sudhaji. Thank you for giving this crazy fangirl a heart-touching opportunity to have this lovely conversation with her. This was part of her own phrase that she used to elegantly express her emotions to the audience at a concert I recently attended. Until next time, so long everyone.